Good morning, everyone. I'm Chair Stacy Aguiar, and this is the Board of Appeals November 17th, 2023 meeting being held at the Hawaii County Council Chambers in Hilo, Hawaii, and also virtually using the Zoom platform. Right now, I'd like to. I'm Chair Stacy Aguiar, and this is the Board of Appeals. That wasn't pre-recorded. Just a little technical difficulty. So if we can continue, I'd like to introduce the members of the Board of Appeals present today. Myself, Stacy Aguiar, Chair, Kathy Lewis, Board Member, Scott Martin, Board Member, Lisa McNamara, Board Member, Noe Saiki, Board Member, Scott Trevethan, Board Member, and Richard Henderson, Vice Chair. Also present today is Sherry Tavares, Deputy Corporation Counsel to the Board, April Supernant, Staff to the Board, and Ashley DeVera, Staff to the Board. So just some housekeeping because we are also on the Zoom platform. If we can just remind everyone to silence your phones, and some in-person and on Zoom. And if you are on Zoom, if your camera could be turned on, all participants, your cameras must be turned on at all times during the hearing. One person speaks at a time with no side conversations. Mute your device when you're not speaking. Raise your hand and wait for recognition before speaking to make a clean and clear record. And prior to speaking, please state your name so that all parties know who is speaking. Speak slowly, clearly, and close to your microphone, and limit distractions. Right now, we will move into public testimony. So the board will be taking public testimony for items on the agenda. You can choose to testify now or prior to the agenda item you are here to testify on. April, do we have any public testifiers at this time?
Yes, we do have a lot of public testifiers, and so I would ask for a raise of hands if anyone in particular wants to testify now or right before that particular item. Okay. Okay, so I believe Mr. Nichols, is that? Okay.
Good morning. If you could state your name and which agenda item you will be testifying on, and you will have 3 minutes to testify. And if Ms. Tavares will keep time, and at the 2.5 minute mark, she will notify you. And you probably need to pull your microphone and hit the on button. It has this face icon and there.
All right. Aloha, my name is Ryan Nichols, and I'm here to testify in support of Robert Silber. So I've resided on Robert Silber's land for 3 years, and I'm currently acting as the on-site manager there. As well, I've served as the housekeeping manager in support of the farm activities, including managing the staff team. And I'm in support of his case and his argument because of how supportive that place has been to me. It's provided an environment where I could improve my physical health as well as how I relate with other people and living in community. As well, I've seen Robert care quite a lot for the land and for his neighbors and for the entire local Puna community. You know, he's willing to respond to natural disasters, for example. If there's a fallen tree on the road, he'll go out there with his chainsaw to remove it. And of course, you know, he has planted numerous fruit trees and continues to malama aina, even in the face of whatever challenges there may be with COVID, with the lava flow, and, you know, doing his best again and again to come in accordance with the county permitting requirements. And as well, you know, he's very supportive of personal growth and development and people having healthy relationships with one another. So yeah, I feel like it's an incredibly valuable asset to the community that he has provided. So thank you all for listening to me. Thank you all for all the work that you've put in here over the years. And that is all. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify up front before each of the items is called? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could please state your name, which item number you are testifying on. And as mentioned, Ms. Tavares will be keeping time and you will have 3 minutes to testify. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aloha, my name is Robert Silber, and I'm the owner of 13-2060 Lolia Place. For the last 10 years, I've been developing the Lolia Place neighborhood, which went from 2 abandoned macadamia farms housing no one and producing no food, nor providing native habitat, to 12 legally subdivided lots over 40 acres that provide homes for local families, abundant agricultural production, as well as holistic educational opportunities. For 10 years, my kuleana has been to create and maintain an off-grid neighborhood that is a model of sustainability inspired by the Ahupua'a system that provided Native Hawaiians with 100% food, energy, and building material sustainability for centuries before the illegal overthrow and annexation of the democratically elected government of the Kingdom of Hawaii in the 1890s. I've been working in the field of sustainability since 1991 for various environmental nonprofits such as Sierra Club, Waterkeeper Alliance, and many others. I have a master's degree in permaculture and sustainable systems. And for the last 20 years, I've been living in Puna off-grid, growing food, building communities, as well as teaching courses in personal growth and development around the world. In the course of developing my property, I retained the services of Michael Dresser beginning in 2016. As I have documented and shared previously with the planning department, I emphasized to Mr. Dresser that I wanted to build a retreat center that would be legal and meet applicable codes. Unfortunately, while I had paid Mr. Dresser in excess of $100,000 over the course of 4 years, he did not provide the necessary services to comply with all of the county codes. After receiving the notice of violation in 2019, we made significant changes to comply with the county's requests. I hired a new consultant, Land Planning Hawaii, which drafted a special permit application which received the support of the county planning department. I should mention that we survived the 2018 lava flow, which was less than 3 miles from our property and caused significant economic, social, and environmental disruptions in our area. Nevertheless, we continued after the lava flow ended to grow and build out the property to ecological principles. Similarly, the worldwide COVID pandemic tested our resolve. Rather than fold, we invested over $30,000 in our internet system, which enabled many remote workers to live at home, providing
30
financial.
seconds.
May I have a few more minutes, please?
So, excuse me. So, Mr. Silver, this is open public
Mhm.
testimony. When we do call your case, you would have the opportunity to present your case,
Okay.
your full case to the board
Oh.
with an opening statement and a closing
Oh,
statement.
I didn't realize that I would have that opportunity as well. So that's why I raised
Sure.
my hand to give my testimony at this time.
So,
If you let me continue, then I can do this and then I don't have to do it again. It's up to you.
yes. So if you want to just wrap it up and then, because both parties will be sitting at the table when your case is called, I think that you should reserve your time for that.
I'm not sure what you're saying. Well, when I hear wrap it up, so how much time would I have if I presented my case during the normally scheduled? This is my first time before the Board of Appeals, so I'm not really clear.
So
on your
the rules
protocol.
of the proceeding has been provided to you.
Mhm.
And when your case is called and you testify, you would have 5 minutes for your opening statement.
Oh.
And there's a proceeding that I will direct both parties on.
Okay, well, then I'll be happy to do 5 minutes then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other public testifiers on either of the two cases? April. So this,
I don't know if anyone else wants to testify up front. Otherwise, we will call oh, yes, please. If you could take the seat at the front.
so
Thank
if you could just come on up, state your name, what agenda item you're testifying on, and you will have 3 minutes for your testimony.
Hi, my name is Carrie Fisher. I'm testifying on the Fabry. Harold and I live at TMK 14020008 next door to the subject of this appeal and his community of owners and members. We are under attack from these people. They are threatening us, they are harassing us, and we are being subject to acts of vigilantism. These hostile acts are in retaliation because we lodged a complaint with the county when the subject and his community repeatedly refused to get permits for their non-ag zone events and functions. Please refer to our written testimony for our documentation. We are the victims here, and we are looking to the county to be our advocate and help us by upholding the county ag zoning laws. Harold and I have been coming to Hawaii since the mid-'80s. Harold is a retired Teamster and was with the same company for over 30 years. We fell in love with East Hawaii, but most importantly, the ag zoning in Kapoho fit with our lifelong dream of owning land and cultivating a small farm. We spent a month in the Kapuka researching properties specifically zoned for agriculture. In 2008, we purchased property from the Higa family and built our home and started our farm the following year. After our retirement, we looked forward to enjoying our golden years and were not expecting to be rolled over by a group of young people who bought the property next to us without any regard for the ag zoning laws or regulations. Harold and I have 7 kids between us and 7 grandkids, and we can't possibly imagine them treating others the way these people have been treating us. We are asking the county to uphold the ag zone laws and hold the subject of this appeal hearing accountable for his actions and for their ongoing violations and refusals to abide by any permit requirements rather than look the other way. Our hope is that this can be resolved soon and not continue to drag on while they continue to hold non-ag events and keep building and expanding. In fact, this week on November 14th, even knowing they had a hearing coming up and despite an NOV order to cease and desist, they hauled in another prefab house by a trailer. Lastly, I would like to correct a mistake I made in our written testimony on paragraph 17. Gaia Yoga was not on their website. But as my husband reminded me, a group of young ladies trespassing on our property held up a phone with Google Maps pointing to their community's location that said Gaia Yoga. I would like to make that correction. And I thank you for your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Any other public testimony at this time prior to
Yes, you want to start?
cases?
Go ahead and, yes, please, sir. Come to the front.
Good morning. If you could please state your name and the agenda item you're testifying on, and you will have 3 minutes to testify.
Aloha kakayaka. Good morning, everybody. Hello, my name is Kalikulehu Kanaile. I'm part of the Hawaiian Kingdom of course, and I'm here to speak on Kumakahi Village and the people there. I just heard this testimony, and I really don't believe they're the type of people they were described as. I've been around there for the last 2 years. I run the Native American Church of Hawaii and the Church of Native in Puna. And as you know, Puna, we're part of the hippie people. They come there because it's a cheap place, and everybody has a chance to live there. Because every other place is like, wow, it's expensive. But these people are really nice people. They've been having a lot of our people allow us come there and help them out on how to act in Hawaii, and from hula to whatever, yeah. And I speak on their behalf. And if you know me, it's hard to impress me. I'm a Kanaka, and I really don't like people moving here. But nice people that come, I really support them, and I really believe that they're not people who harass or things like that. You can see their face. I just want to say those few words in support of their living there, and ask not to find them. They're doing the best they can. They're young people. They come from America that have been looking for a place to also to grow and grow free. And Pune is such a free place. It's different from all the rest of the counties. Because the rest of the counties, all the people, like our people here, should move there, because that's where a lot of people act like that. They live outside of Puna, and we really want to have people who have love for each other. They move through there. So I really appreciate if you really look upon these people at Kumukai Village as good people, and that they deserve to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naele. Anyone else?
Okay, we do have Mr. Mendola online who would like to give testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Mendola. Please state your full name and what agenda item you're testifying on.
Mr. Mendola, if you could unmute yourself on your camera.
Okay, how about now? Does
Thank
that
you.
work? All right.
Yes.
My name is Tomas Mendola. I'm part of a Harmony and Health Foundation in Hawaii there on the Big Island. And I'd like to speak to both of these cases quickly. First, Robert Silber and what he's been doing there. I want to support him in the efforts he's made. He's described pretty well what he's been doing. And these people who are doing these community service kind of things, I have to support. Specifically with Kumakahi, I have to say that I've seen these people over time when they purchased that property and what they've done there. And I just have to testify that these are kind, respectful people. They have a regard for the neighborhood. I know they clean up trash along the roads and things like that. They're conscious of what's going on and what the challenges are to living on the big island these days. They grow food and they give it away. And so I'm trying to be quick here, but just to register, support for actually both of these groups. Is there a question I could answer? Or is that enough?
It's just your testimony. So thank you very much, Mr. Mendola.
All right, thank you.
Any other public testifiers? Oh, we have one more, April. Please come up, state your name and the agenda item you're testifying on.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
My name is Steve Hill, testifying on the Kumakahi Village and other communes in the area of Puna. I've been here for 23 years this year. On the mainland, I'm a farmer, a large agriculture, well, I say large, 1,000 tons a year of very high-end alfalfa, which we are retired from, and also a forestry property, which we are retired from. 22 years ago, we began researching agricultural properties in this area. And I think there are many farmers and many people who have planned to downsize, but farming is in your life. It's in your blood. That's what you do when you're a farmer. It never really gets away from you. So our vision of retiring is smaller and probably much more focused, but it is on providing food for Hawaii Island, for people who live here. That's of value. The land is of value. I hope and I pray that the notion that just because someone from another state, like myself, who has chosen to come here, and the only thing is that the money matters. We can buy this and we can build a commune, or we can rent out our huts, or all of these things that we do, instead of focus on producing food and real agriculture, whether it's beef cows, whether it's fruits and vegetables, anything it is. The common theme that I see is to come here, call it a village, village, whatever it is, but it derives its profits and its income from having things like ecstatic dances, things like I've been subjected to, $35,000 worth of legal fees to stop one of these villages across the driveway from me, with 14-day, 200 people at a time banging very loud djembe drums that the county didn't have a means to resolve at the time, but it was an inappropriate place for the land zoning. These are agricultural. You'll hear tractors, you'll hear noise, but it should be the noise of agriculture producing food. And that is in alignment with what Zendo Kern and the county have for agricultural properties. I have heard a million times, you can't do anything to me. In the eruption of 2018, most of the place across the road from me was wiped out. And that was heartbreaking and sad. I now own part of that property with the goal of introducing agriculture onto the land. But hiding behind all these other cultural activities, regardless, my prayer is that money, just because you saw an opportunity to come here and profit, that's not enough to comply with the zoning and land use requirements that are set before us. Following the rules should be innate to all of us. And to not enforce that is a slap in the face to any farmer who comes here with the notion of spending money, investing life, hard work, blood, all that we do to provide food for the people of Hawaii. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any other public testifiers? You can testify now, or you can testify when I call the case to be heard. Yes.
This is Mr. Fabry.
Oh, so Mr. Fabry, you will have an opportunity when your case is called.
So is there anyone else online? There are two other members of the public online. Is there anyone else online who would like to provide testimony? Last name Ponce, last name Icaro. Seeing none, you can proceed, Chair.
Thank you. So that will end the portion of public testimony. And seeing that we have no old agenda items, we will proceed directly to new business. I will read in agenda item 1. Agenda item 1, Robert Silber, BOA 20-000241, appeal of planning director's notice of violation and order, ZCV 2017-007E, dated December 5th, 2019. Location is 13-2060 Lolila Place, Pahoa, Hawaii, 96778. TMK 3-1-3-002-140. If I could have both the appellant and the appellees come to the table. No.
Jeff is bringing another chair out.
Okay. And if I could get the names and appearances of the parties for this matter, starting with the appellant, if you could provide your name.
My name is Robert Silber. I'm the appellant and I'm the owner of the property.
Thank you. And for the planning department.
Good morning. This is Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell, appearing on behalf of the Planning Department. And with me is Deputy Director Jeffrey Darrow. And if I can, for 1 second, apologies in advance. I was sick last week. I promise I am not contagious, but I may be coughing.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. And thank you, Mr. Silver. So with respect to the board's decision today on this case, Board Rule 8-15 General Standards for Appeals applies, wherein a decision from the Director of the Department of Public Works may be reversed or modified or remanded. I'm sorry, from the Director of Planning. My apologies. A decision may be reversed or modified or remanded only if the board finds that the decision is 1, in violation of the code or other applicable law, or 2, clearly erroneous in the view of the reliable, probative, and substantial evidence on the whole record, or 3, arbitrary or capricious or characterized by an abuse of discretion or clearly unwarranted exercise of discretion. So that is the basis for what we are allowed to make a decision on. Just a housekeeping item as it relates to the parties, the appellant's notification of surrounding properties, because we did not receive any information that notice was made no less than 20 days to the surrounding property owners of this hearing. Mr. Silber, did you make notification to your surrounding property owners?
No, I did not, because we've been in consultation with our legal team. And unfortunately, both our consultants and legal team were not able to work on this case. It has been rescheduled, as you know, quite a few times. And I was under the belief, because we had submitted an additional farm dwelling, that we were going to be able to delay this hearing until after the county had reviewed our additional farm dwelling request. Also, at the same time, my legal counsel moved out of state. Dimitri Lametti moved out of Hawaii to Colorado. And by the time I realized that we were not going to be granted an extension, the deadline had already passed. So I'd just like you to understand that I have in the past complied through my legal counsel and my consultants with all of the requirements. And that is the reason why we didn't notify our neighbors, was because we were hoping that we were going to be able to reschedule this based on the fact that we submitted an additional farm dwelling request. And I apologize for that, because I do support and understand the reason for alerting neighbors to these proceedings. Thank you.
So Mr. Silber, that's really not an acceptable excuse. I think the acknowledgement letter that you received when you filed your appeal, which preserves your rights, your due process, also provides due process for the neighboring properties, and it is a requirement that is written by the code 25-2-4A2 that you are to notify your property owners. Furthermore, we did have a pre-hearing conference on October 4th, which you failed to attend. We then reached out to you subsequently, and you acknowledged that we were still having this hearing, which was well before today's hearing date. So not giving notice to your property owners is not an acceptable thing for us. That being said, I'd like to give the county an opportunity to speak into that process not happening.
Thank you very much. If I may, if you would, sorry then. The department had not seen any evidence from Mr. Silber that he had provided the notice to the neighbors, which I believe was due 20 days prior to the hearing. In previous matters that Mr. Silber has brought before various county boards and commissions, we have received extensive testimony. As Mr. Silber noted, he prepared and submitted a special permit application that went before the Windward Planning Commission. For that matter, the Planning Commission received over 89 pieces of testimony. So in expectation that today the notice would not have been sent, I have prepared and have before you a motion to dismiss this matter. You'll note that the original appeal was filed in January of 2020, which is nearly 4 years ago. Over the course of you can read in the motion, the additional details. Over the course of that period, there have been 14 continuances granted for a whole variety of reasons, including the fact that the department has worked with Mr. Silber and encouraged him to go through the proper permitting process, including the special permit application, which I note was withdrawn the day before the Planning Commission's meeting. So some of this delay was COVID related, obviously. Some of it was the department and Mr. Silber genuinely trying to work together to bring his property into compliance. But there have been repeated starts and stops and starts and stops. And at this point, the department feels like it's just been too long. As the chair noted, we had a pre-hearing conference, which was scheduled months ago, that took place on October 4th. At that hearing, Mr. Silber did not appear. That was where all of the scheduling was set forth. It was clear at that point that there was no extension to be granted any further, and the notice needed to go out. That hasn't happened. And at this point, it's time to just say we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell, for the department. So if I just may read this document into the record, Ms. Campbell for the planning department has provided us a motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution, as well as has just provided it to the appellant. And if I could just give the board a minute to read the document. And give you all 3 minutes to read it. Am I good? Or is the board good? To proceed? Everybody read it? Thank you. So the rule 3-12 of our rules of procedure allow us to accept this document as motions may be made before, during, or after a hearing. So to give Mr. Silber an opportunity to respond, do you have anything you want to respond to this motion by the department?
Yeah, I would ask for the board to consider not just the letter of the law, but the fact that I have retained counsel, the fact that I have retained consultants to represent me, and that I have done my due diligence in attempting to respond to the notice of violation. I made significant changes both on my property and in my operations and in my business to comply with the requests made by the department starting in 2019. And that due to the fact that I lost counsel, I did not comply to the letter of the law. And I'm not making any excuses. That is my responsibility to know the code and know the protocol. And unfortunately, I was relying upon people who did not serve me well. And that is both in the case of Mr. Dresser, who was hired as my professional consultant in dealing with the county, and also in terms of my legal counsel, Mr. Lametti, who in the middle of a case left and went out of state. As you know, in business, we rely upon the experts of people that we hire. And it is simply impossible when you're running a large business to know every single little last detail that people you hire to know those details are charged with understanding and conveying that information to me. So I do take responsibility for the lapse in not following the protocol and procedure. And I would ask for your understanding that I have done quite a bit to communicate with the county over the last 4 years, and that I did endeavor to comply. And unfortunately, I was let down by people that I had paid to represent me. Thank you for hearing my explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Silber. Does the board have any questions for either party on this matter? Regarding the department's motion to dismiss. And Ms. Psyche
I have a
has a
question, Chair.
question.
Mr. Silber, over the course of the 4 years, I know you've run into a bunch of different problems along the way. My question is, why did you not find somebody else to help you? I know that there are business people that are owners that are all the way into their business and they know every angle. And then there are some that are just not that kind of person. You would rather just be in their hands in the dirt and just do your thing. But it seems like the people that you've surrounded yourself with professionally needed to be better than who they were. And it was unfortunate that they let you down. And I just wondered, why did you not reach out for someone else to help? It has been 4 years.
I understand. And thank you for the opportunity to reply to that. I made a significant error in hiring Mr. Dresser, who was a building consultant and not a planning consultant. He knew that I was asking to apply for and receive a special permit back in 2016 before we ever started building. And unfortunately, he represented himself as someone who would be able to provide that service to me, as he had worked for Steve Lund in Hawaiian Sanctuary. Unfortunately, he focused on the building department. He didn't focus on the planning department. And that was a significant error in his judgment that I didn't understand until a few years later. Having said that, as you know, this being a relatively small population county, we have a limited number of planning consultants. We also have a limited number of attorneys who can take on matters of this importance at short notice. I contacted over 20 attorneys in this county and in the state of Hawaii, and I was not able to find anyone who was able to represent me and show up today because of the short notice of this. I mean, it's very difficult to find an attorney who can all of a sudden take on a case with less than a few weeks' notice. It's just very difficult. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sober. I do have one comment on the less than a few weeks, though, because we did have multiple pre-hearing conferences with you, and we received notification verbally by Zoom and in writing from Mr. Lametti, your former attorney, of his withdrawal from your case, I think at least 3 months prior to the October pre-hearing conference. At such time, you had requested a continuance so that you could find new counsel or represent yourself to prepare for the case. So that I just wanted to clarify that fact for the record. Does any other council member have
May I
questions?
respond to that?
Sure, but that was just a statement.
I understand. And I just want to make a statement too, that Mr. Lametti was in communication with me and he was still billing me. And, you know, because he was not able to appear and because he has a newborn child and he lives in Colorado, this became untenable for him to represent me. And, you know, if you wanted, I could provide, you know, records from my daily calendar of the different attorneys, you know, Ye and Kim, and, you know, so many different law firms in Hilo and in Kona. And there's just simply not very many attorneys that have expertise in dealing with issues before the board and the county. There's just simply not very many. And it was not possible even within a few months to find an additional, you know, additional counsel to take over for Mr. Lametti. And
Thank you.
maybe there was someone out there, but I couldn't find him.
Thank you. Any other board members have any questions?
I have a question for Mr. Silver. This is Richard Henderson, and I noted in the motion submitted by the appellee that a special permit that you've referred to over the course of years, I think that was initiated back in 2020, was recently withdrawn from the Leeward Planning Board. Was there a reason why you didn't want to continue with that?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. So Land Planning Hawaii was retained by myself to develop a special permit application. They did so, and in the course of developing the special permit application, we met with quite a few neighbors who are adjacent to my subdivision. I am the developer of the 12-lot subdivision, and everyone within our subdivision is supportive of our special permit application. And in December of last year, all of the adjacent property owners that have property that is adjacent or abuts to the subdivision, we had worked out their concerns and they had gone from opposing us to supporting us. Unfortunately, at the last minute before our before the hearing, it was, I believe, in January, one of the neighbors who was outside of the 500 feet zone of notification, Ed Utero, he unfortunately provided a bunch of misinformation to those adjacent neighbors, and he actually converted them from being supportive to opposing, and we withdrew the application. He has been unwilling to meet either on the phone or with a video call or in person. He's been unwilling to discuss the issues of our special permit. And all I heard from him was that he was a supporter of Kalani Hanua and he didn't want extra competition for them because he saw us as providing competition to a similar holistic education center that's 1.5 miles away from us. So our main opposition is a neighbor that's outside 500 feet, someone that this is their third property, it's not their primary residence, and a property owner who is unwilling to meet and actually discuss how we could actually come into agreement in terms of the special permit operation that we were requesting from the county. Thank you.
Do any other board members have any questions? And so the questions are in regard to the county's motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution. Sure, go ahead.
So you were aware that there was a pre-hearing conference
Yes.
and you knew the date of it.
Oh, and I participated in probably more than a half a dozen
I didn't
pre-hearing
ask you that. I asked
conferences.
you if you knew the date of it. Of the
I,
most
I,
recent.
I did know the date of it and there was a confusion around that. And again, I apologize for that.
I don't want to, I just want to ask you the simple question. So you did know the date of it and you knew about it. Okay, why did you not attend?
I had a confusion around the date of it and I would have to check my records. But yeah, I've always made the meetings and there was a confusion and I didn't realize until afterwards that I'd missed it.
Can you explain the confusion? Is there a scheduling order that sets forth the date of the pre-hearing?
There is, and I would have to check all of my notes. All I can tell you is I lost staff. I'm economically distressed. And oftentimes over the last 4 years, I've worked in excess of 80 hours a week trying to keep my property. And it is not easy living off grid and trying to maintain a business and keep my head above water. And I occasionally make mistakes and occasionally there are scheduling conflicts or things and I make mistakes just like we all do. I take responsibility for it. I apologize. I don't want to waste the time of the board or the county. And I missed that hearing and I apologize. It was not due to any subterfuge or resistance. It was simply an error.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Seeing none, I'm entertaining a motion on the department's motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution due to the appellant's failure to file their notice to surrounding property owners pursuant to the board rules of Rule -8-11D.
Madam Chair, Richard Henderson, I would make a motion to adopt the appellee Zendo Kern Planning Director's County of Hawaii motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the table. Any discussion by the board? Seeing none. April, can we go to vote?
Yes. Mr. Henderson,
Aye.
Ms. Psyche,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Martin. Ms. McNamara.
Aye.
Mr. Trefethan.
Aye.
Chair Aguiar,
Aye.
7 ayes, motion passes.
Thank you, April. So the motion passed. Sorry, the motion passes. May I have the department, Ms. Campbell, to please prepare and submit the proposed findings of fact, conclusions of law and order. Oh, sorry. To submit just the order granting the motion.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes, so Ms. Psyche of the board.
I would be remiss to not say anything to Mr. Silver. And I appreciate that you have put in all that you can and have to do the best that you can in making things successful for your case. It is unfortunate that things came out the way that it did, but it is a good lesson to learn that we are bound by laws and we need to follow the rules so that things move smoothly and are not backed up and, go on and on and on. So, thank you for coming out, and we wish you luck.
Thank you. And I'm just curious if the board received my notarized affidavit in regards to Inspector Iwamoto's visit to my site. Were you provided with that information?
I'll answer that. So every document that you filed, we did receive, and it is part of the records, and it's uploaded in Epic as well. So the board has reviewed all documents that were submitted from both parties.
Because I think it would be really remiss to not provide an opportunity to swear in Mr. Iwamoto for him to provide actual
So
sworn
Mr. Silver,
testimony in this regard.
unfortunately, at this time, the board has voted, the motion has passed, and your case has been dismissed. So Ms. Campbell will be issuing that order. And we do thank you for your time. Unfortunately, those are the circumstances.
I understand.
Thank you. And that concludes item number 1 on the agenda. I will move on to item number 2. Oh, before I do, does anyone need a bathroom break? Yes. Okay, we'll just continue on. So item number 2 on the agenda is case Elliot Fabry, PL BOA 2023-000066. Appeal of decision by the planning director dated January 23rd, 2023 regarding notice of violation and order PL PCV 2022-00235 relating to unpermitted events, retreat center activity, church practice, and renting cabins. Location is Noni Farms Road, Puna, Hawaii, TMK 3-1-4-020-007. If I may have all parties for that case come up.
Pardon me, I think we may have testifiers.
Oh, perfect. So if we have
So, Ms. Whitehill and Mr. Peaks, would you like to testify?
So we'll start with testimony.
I'm sorry, you're clarifying that there are witnesses? They are both. Okay, very good. Is there anyone online who would like to testify on this case? I see 3 members of the public online. If you would like to testify, please turn on your camera. Seeing none, Chair.
So I just want to clarify the question on witnesses for Mr. Fabry, being that we did not receive a witness list. There will be no witnesses. There are no witnesses listed on the Fabry case. So unless they have public testimony, you can, if you'd like to provide public testimony on that case, you can come up now.
Clarification, I saw a witness list that included that, if I was mistaken.
Are you on the witness list?
I'm on the phone.
And your name is? Juan Pablo Mendoza. So you're not on a witness list, so you would not be able to testify unless you want to provide public testimony right now.
I was planning to be the representative of this country.
Are you listed on Mr. Fabri's notice or appeal listing you as a representative to his case, then we cannot recognize you as a representative to Mr. Fabry.
I'm sorry, Chair, could they approach to speak
Yeah,
into the
if you
mic so we
could
can have this
please
on the
come
record,
up so we
please?
can have it on the recording.
Hello, my name is Elliot Fabry, and
Hold on one second. So here's part of here's what I want to clarify right now, because we are in public testimony portion of your case being called at this time, so I can just close public testimony. If anyone who wants to or does not want to provide public testimony at this time, you have the last opportunity to do so. Does anyone want to provide public testimony at this time?
the question at hand is that we had seen Mrs. Madeline Whitehill and Mr. Steve Peak, and on the witness list that we were provided, they were both listed, myself included, and so wanting clarification that they will have a chance to speak afterwards, and if
They-
not, then they would be wanting
So
to submit
being that they are
questions.
on the witness list, they would be examined and cross-examined by you, Mr. Fabry. So they would be examined by the county, and you would have the opportunity to cross-examine the people listed on the witness list. Anyone else not listed nor being recognized as party to this case will not have an opportunity to speak unless they provide public testimony right now. So
Gotcha.
that I can close that portion and proceed into the case with the,
Can I ask one more clarifying question, just because you had spoken earlier
So-
that there was
so
no
let
one
me-
listed
let
as a
me-
witness?
let
so-
me, before you ask your question, here's one thing that I want to clarify. We had a pre-hearing conference, which you failed to appear on, and we've had multiple communications. So part of appearing in the pre-hearing conference, which we did wait 30 minutes for you to appear, and then you failed to appear, would have clarified the proceedings, would have also clarified and asked you if you had any questions to this proceeding. So being that you did not attend, right now, I'm not entertaining any questions. My only question is, do I have a public testifier at this time? So we have one public testifier. If you can state your name, what
May I
key,
file a motion? Would that be appropriate
No.
right now?
a public testimony is just 3 minutes to provide your public testimony on this particular case. So please state your name, and you will have 3 minutes, and Ms. Tavares will keep time, and at 2.5 minutes, she will notify you of that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, my name is Juan Pablo Mendoza. I'm one of the co-owners of Kamukahi. I would love to have the opportunity to represent my community today, my team. I understand that we may have missed part of that procedure, and I would definitely ask you respectfully to allow me to represent them, which is something that we've been preparing for with seriousness. I want to just vouch for my team here. I know you don't know us very well yet. I'm glad that Uncle Kaliko was able to speak in our behalf as well. I first want to assure you that the team that's behind me, we are not a group of rich colonialists that came here to exploit the land, and we don't have a lot of money. In fact, we invested all of our savings because we felt a strong calling to come and serve this land. We are also not a group of out-of-touch hippies who just came here to party and have disregard for the community and for the law, for the code. In fact, we are a very diverse and skillful and hardworking group of people. Steve over here, he is a permaculture specialist. He's an accredited permaculture instruction, and he has abandoned a more lucrative career to dedicate his life with passion to serve this land in agriculture, to find new and renewable ways and regenerative ways of farming. Mr. Elliot Fabry, he has dedicated his life, his adult life at least, to the construction of environmentally friendly and sustainable ways of living, and similarly has abandoned a more lucrative career in the mainland because he has felt the calling to come and be here for the land and serve the land. Madeline Whitehill has dedicated her entire life to service, has worked with kids with special needs for all of her adult life, basically still does, has really dedicated her time here to forming strong bonds with the community. We have several letters of support from different neighbors. We have attempted over and over to form a really good relationship
30 seconds.
with Carrie, who was here until a minute ago, Harold and Carrie. That has been challenging. In no way have we threatened them, and we've repeatedly tried to form a really good relationship. So this is really a team that has varied skill. One of the skills we have not yet been able to acquire is that of becoming familiar with the code and the law of Hawaii, and we have attempted to
Thank
get
you,
legal
Mr.
counsel over and
Pablo.
over again.
Your time is up.
Okay, I have 10 more seconds.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for your testimony.
Thank you very much for your time. And I do would appreciate the opportunity to represent my team here, for which we have been preparing very seriously.
Thank you. So that concludes, April, do we have any other public testifiers for this case? That concludes the public testimony portion for this case. If I may ask both the appellant and the department appellee to come to the table. So Mr. Fabry. And for the appellant, can you please state your name and appearance for this matter?
My name is Elliot Fabry.
Good
And
morning,
good morning.
Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell once again, and with me this time is Director Curran on behalf of the Planning Department.
Thank you. So with respect to the board's decision today, Board Rule 8-15, General Standards for Appeals, applies wherein a decision appealed from the Director of Planning may be reversed or modified or remanded only if the board finds that the decision is, 1, in violation of the code or other applicable law, or 2, clearly erroneous in the view of the reliable, probative, and substantial evidence on the whole record, or 3, arbitrary or capricious or characterized by an abuse of discretion or clearly unwarranted exercise of discretion. So I'd like to open again with the housekeeping and ask Mr. Fabry, because we did not get notification or proof of that you made notice to your surrounding property owners no less than 20 days prior to the hearing date. Have you done so?
Can I make a motion to have representation?
So Mr. Fabry, so the issue or the question is, because we did not receive any proof of mailings or notification, have you made notice to the surrounding property owners of this hearing?
We've been in contact with many of our neighbors, but we, similar to Mr. Silver, have not had our legal representative, Mr. Steve Strauss, was not able to inform us or attend the pre-hearing conference and had other business operations in the Philippines, which we didn't find out until after the pre-conference hearing. And so we have been unaware of the official rules, which we humbly apologize for and are trying our best to allow this time here to come into compliance and asking for representation of another co-owner who's prepared to speak on our team's behalf.
Thank you. So I will take that as you didn't provide proper notice to your surrounding property owners of this hearing. And unfortunately, again, we did have a pre-hearing conference in December, which you failed to appear. I'm sorry, in October, which you failed to appear at, which would have been the time to ask clarifications. Furthermore, the only person who's appeared in this case on your behalf has been you. We've not had notice that any other property owners or representation is part of this case. So the failure to provide notice to your surrounding property owners is exactly the reason why you have due process. It also provides due process to the affected property owners or supposed affected property owners based on anything we hear and any decisions we need to make. So that being said, I'd like to ask the department if they have anything or any comments regarding the fact that that very important step was not followed.
Can I speak that we did attend the original pre-conference hearing, which we entered into a period of negotiation with the county, and just by not being aware of the dates that were, further into the future and relying on our legal representation, we just weren't we didn't find out until afterwards. So we have been trying to comply, and we have had legal representation send multiple letters to the county over the period of the last 9 months.
Right. So you are aware that there are very specific and legal and proceedings here, which gives everybody due process and equal rights to the matter. So not attending a pre-hearing conference or subsequently providing your surrounding property owners notification is not that you're not aware of how stringent and specific our rules are. So at this time, I'd like to ask the department for any comments on this particular matter.
Thank you, Chair. I have also prepared a motion to dismiss for this matter. Again, for lack of persecution, I'll note that the pre-hearing conference that took place in October was scheduled back in April. So there has been a very long lead time leading up to not only that meeting, but this meeting. And Mr. Fabry is correct that there has been back and forth correspondence between himself, his co-owners, and the department about bringing the property into compliance. But those efforts are not the matter that's before the board today. The matter that's before the board today is Mr. Fabry's appeal of the original notice of violation. So those later correspondences are simply an effort between an owner and the department to bring his property into compliance following the notice of violation. But the scope of this appeal is only that original notice of violation. As you've heard from public testimony, obviously there is interest from the neighbors, and we believe it's extremely important that the neighbors have the opportunity to have input here. You heard from Mr. Hill and Ms. Fisher. They were aware of the matter because the department reached out to Ms. Fisher as a potential witness in the case. she did not receive any kind of notice from Mr. Fabry about this hearing. Once again, we are asking for an immediate dismissal of this matter. In this case, we have also provided the board an opportunity or an alternative request, and that is if you are uncomfortable granting our request for an immediate dismissal due to lack of prosecution, we would request that the substantive hearing be rescheduled for your first available hearing date. It may be December. I'm not entirely sure what your schedule looks like. If in fact you're amenable to allowing Mr. Fabry to reappear for the substance of his hearing, which we cannot hear today because the notice did not go out, we would request that the original scheduling order that was issued in October remain in place. And so it does not, a continuance of this hearing would not reopen filing deadlines for any additional matters. So essentially your record is what you have today. This is not a second bite at the apple. This is not a new pre-hearing conference to reset all the deadlines. This is simply saying, if you're uncomfortable dismissing this one on its face today for lack of prosecution, this one admittedly has not gone on for 4 years. This one is a little more recent in scope. So if you're uncomfortable dismissing this out of hand today, the department has, in your motion that's before you, provided for simply a continuance of this hearing date to your next available hearing date. But again, the request is no reopening of the deadlines that were set forth in the October 4th scheduling order.
Can I speak?
Thank you,
that.
Ms. Campbell, for that explanation. And Mr. Fabry, if you could hold on 1 second, please.
Sure.
I'd like to give the board a few minutes to just read the document, the motion that Ms. Campbell distributed right now. And for the record, the title of the document is Apelli Zendo Kern, Planning Director, County of Hawaii, motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution. So at this time, the board, if we could just take a minute to read it.
Mhm.
At this time, I'd like to take a short recess for one of our board members to take care of some housekeeping business. So as we're reading, if we can just get a 5-minute recess. Thank you. We are now in recess. All right, we are back from recess and we are back in session for the BOA hearing Friday, November 17th, 2023. So if I may clarify or refresh everyone's memory, we just received a motion to dismiss from the department. And for timing reasons, we are allowed to take this motion from the department pursuant to our rule 3-12. Motions may be made before, during, or after a hearing. Mr. Fabry, you are also provided or just provided a copy of the department's motion to dismiss. Do you have anything you'd like to say on
Yeah.
that?
Yes, I do. As Mrs. Campbell had mentioned, we also value the input of our neighbors. We've had 2 neighbors submit testimony, and we have a third one that we came to present to you today. We ask that our, lack of legal understanding and legal representation not be used to not allow this case to be heard. We heard a potential request of continuing to allow the proper due process to be followed. We regretfully missed the October 5th meeting because it was scheduled, 6 months prior, and it was during a period where we were still in an active discussion with the planning director. You can see from our letters dated that there was letters at the end of September that were sent, still trying to reach consensus and not understanding that that date was coming to pass. So the opportunity to resubmit and follow the process is what we would like to hear from the board. We understand that we missed that. That was not our intention of entering into the negotiation with the planning director. Our intention was to try to resolve the matter in a manner that was mutually beneficial, and we'd love to hear input and follow the proper process. But I take objection to Mrs. Campbell's request to not allow us to have extensions to evidence that's important to this case and to be submitted, because our intention is to follow the rules of the county, and we understand that we have not done so, and we would like to be given the opportunity to do so. And whether we're able to find legal counsel to represent us in that matter, we can take it on ourselves as individuals to make sure we fully understand the process. And we'd like to have an opportunity for this case to be heard in its entirety, and for any opportunities that would have been provided to us in the October 5th pre-hearing to be extended if a continuance is granted and this case is not to be heard based on a failure to comply with the official process of informing the neighbors of this violation.
Thank you. So unfortunately, we do have a firm set hearing date, which is today. Right now, the motion in front of the board members is to discuss, or if any of the board members have questions, the motion in front of us by the department is a motion to dismiss for order dismissing this lack of appeal of prosecution due to appellant's failure to file their notice to surrounding property owners pursuant to our board rules of practice and procedure 8-11D. So at this time, does the board have any questions or comments on the motion in front of us?
Chair, I have a question. And that would be this is Richard Henderson, and that would be to our meeting scheduled for December
8th.
8th. Is that agenda already scheduled and full, or is there room on it?
There is room. The agenda has been filed or posted, but there is a means to add an item to the agenda if it comes to that.
So we'll be able to comply with our notice for the agenda by putting this, if we chose to go that on there. All right, hearing that, then I would make a motion to accept the Apelli Zendo Kearns Planning Director, County of Hawaii's motion to dismiss for lack of prosecution, and would like to amend that to say that we will allow the appellant, Mr. Fabry, to prepare for a hearing on December 8th, 2023. And should he not prepare for that, then this order will be effective to dismiss.
Do I have a second on Mr. Henderson's motion? I have a second by Mr. Trefethan. Any discussion by the board on this motion? Go ahead. Ms. McNamara. Oh, sorry, Ms.
Yes,
Lewis.
Mr. Fabry, can you hear me? Doesn't sound, okay. If this alternative is pursued and we allow you until December 8th to present your case, would you be willing and ready to do that regardless of whether you find new legal counsel?
Yes, we'd be willing and ready to do that. We would appreciate a little bit more time. I'm not really fully understanding the deadlines. I know there's some 30 days and some 20-day deadlines. And so, giving ourselves a little bit of an opportunity to digest the rules and regulations more than just the December 9th would be appreciated. But regardless, we're here to be heard and to make that case. I know one of the members here, flew specifically just for this, and I'm sure would be willing to fly again. And so yeah, I think a little bit more time would be appreciated, considering, I know that there's specific requirements on deadlines for submitting information that I'm not sure exactly how long those are. And that might mean like by Monday or Tuesday, we need to submit things. And I guess we have a lot of it and we are prepared to do so, but it's difficult, as Mr. Mendoza had mentioned, not really understanding the law fully and not having legal representation to comply with the specific statutes and procedures of this county.
Well, I guess I would just say I'm interested in hearing from witnesses that are listed and notified and all those kinds of things. So I don't think that the motion speaks to extending you more time, but I just am wanting to know if you would be ready to continue on whichever date it is, December 8th. Even if you do not find, in other words, you'd be representing yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would just maybe ask for some assistance from the planning board to providing those deadlines very specifically, and whatever information we need to, for the evidence that we have, how that needs to be submitted, so we can make sure that it's properly, provided and can be heard within the procedures of this board.
So if Board Member Lewis, and all board members, if I could just clarify, the motion on the table right now that Mr. Henderson made and Mr. Trefethan second is a motion to reschedule this hearing on December 8th, if it passes. One of the stipulations is that the extension of times or there will be no other filing of documents allowed. The information and documentation that has been provided to the board as a whole is the documents that are the merits of the case that we will hear in December 8th, if it passes. Also, what I'd like to clarify to all the board members is that notice to surrounding property owners by Mr. Fabry would have to be completed by tomorrow to again comply should this hearing be rescheduled onto the December 8th agenda. So that being said, do any of the other board members, any other discussion amongst us?
Madam Chair, I have a question and clarification on the matter of notification by Rule 8-11D. I believe the county website has assistance on being able to get the notification for the 300 or 500 feet, depending if you're residential or agriculture. and give you the addresses and names of those people. Is that correct?
That is,
Yeah, I believe all that information is available on the real property tax website. You're correct.
All right, so Mr. Pabri, that is the place that you would go. I'm just directing you to satisfy the condition, because if it doesn't go out tomorrow with notification to people that are also notified on the notice of service over here, then basically your case is over. Just so you understand that.
Yeah, thanks for clarification. I also want to clarify, I didn't hear in your motion a request to not allow the submission of additional documentation, and I'm just curious as to why that's being included.
Well, that is part of her on page 2, the last paragraph in the alternative. That's what I'm referring to in the motion there.
Okay,
So
and
it's
is
going to
there,
include that language that she says and the conditions implied in that.
and I'm just curious from the board why there would be a desire not to allow evidence if clearly we didn't have clarity on the process and we're being given an extension to allow to come into compliance, why the same extension wouldn't be provided to allow documentation to be submitted, having received some testimonies and some evidence that we have brought with us today, and we're hoping to present.
Mr.
Answer to
Fabry,
that.
I'll refer you to the
Chair?
chair on that. I
Chair, may I
believe she
speak to
already
that?
adjusted.
Sure, okay. We,
and this is Ms. Psyche speaking.
Aloha, Noi Psyche. Okay, so up to this point, we've received what we needed to receive from you that you could have, you could bring to the hearing. You've been given many opportunities on providing testimony and providing things that would support your case. What we are doing now is considering whether or not we are granting you a little extra time to prove your case even further, making it stronger with what we have. We don't want to add anything more to it. We cannot do that because it's gonna create more it's gonna pull us away from what we are trying to take care of right now. And it is a gift. So what we would like to do is help you. But we have the processes in place for a reason, so that we can get things done and get it done to the best of our abilities to provide you with the best due process and the people around you. So that's just what I wanted to explain to you.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Psyche. Any other board members discussion on the motion on the table? Seeing none, if we can go to vote on this motion.
Yes. Mr. Henderson,
Aye.
Mr. Trefethan. Aye. Ms. Lewis. Mr. Martin. Aye. Okay. Ms. McNamara. Ms. Psyche,
Aye.
Chair Aguiar,
Aye.
7 ayes, motion passes.
Thank you. So Ms. Campbell, could you please issue the order or prepare the order for us?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you. That now concludes this agenda item. So I'd just like to read into record, based on the motion that just passed pursuant to our Rule 1-5C2. The board shall not add items to the agenda once filed without a 2/3 recorded vote of all members to which the board is entitled. So we did just vote on adding this case to our December agenda as another item. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fabry. We will see you in December and good luck with giving notice by tomorrow to all of your surrounding property owners. And the hearing in December is on December 8th, at 9:30 a.m. in Kona, and it will also be a new document will be provided to you with that hearing information as well. Thank you. We will provide you a scheduling order and the copy of the order that Ms. Campbell prepares as well. Thank you.
Do we have a point of contact to refer to for questions as we that may arise in the process of informing neighbors and anything else as it relates to the planning board's procedures and proceedings?
I can't really give you any legal advice, but you can always look at the Board of Appeals rules and read through that. And it's posted on our website. Thank you. So moving on in today's meeting, we do have we have a few more items on the agenda. We have meeting minutes to approve. Sorry. Right now, can I get a motion to approve the May 12th, 2023 Board of Appeals meeting minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Henderson. Can I get a second? Second by Scott Martin. Any discussion? Seeing none, I would like to move to a vote.
Chair, I would make that motion a unanimous acceptance of the minutes circulated May 12th, 2023.
Perfect. All in favor? Aye. Say aye.
Aye.
No nays. The motion passes to approve the May 12th, 2023 Board of Appeals meeting minutes. I also have one more meeting minutes. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the rulemaking hearing held on September 14th, 2023 and on October 13th, 2023?
So move.
I have a motion on the table by Noisaki. Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
I have a second by Vice Chair Henderson. Any discussion? Seeing none, can I get a verbal vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays. Motion passes to approve the minutes for the rulemaking hearings held on September 14th, 2023 and on October 13th, 2023. And moving on to any administrative matters. Deputy Corporation Counsel Sherry Tavares.
I will report to the board that one matter has been remanded back to the board for a full contested case hearing. That is Darrenfield. It is currently scheduled for hearing in January 12th, 2024. Judge Kim remanded the case because it was prematurely appealed to the circuit court. So it's been sent back to us to have a full hearing. We have a pre-hearing conference scheduled in December, and I will keep you informed as to when that will actually be going forward, should the parties be requesting a continuance or any other matter. So we did get one case remanded to us. And it wasn't that the board did anything wrong. The parties just prematurely appealed the portion of that matter to the circuit court, and Judge Kim basically said, you go through the process and let the Board of Appeals make a decision before you come to me. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. April, do you have any announcements and or updates?
Only that for next month, December, we have the Board of Appeal rule amendments is old business that will come back to us. Those Ramsayer amendments have been posted 30 days prior to that hearing on our website and have been made publicly available. We also have the Bailey case ending in 7/6 for December, and now the February case ending in 6/6. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Seeing that anyone else have any announcements? Seeing that we have none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Thank you.
I
Adam.
second that motion.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Oh, any discussion? All in favor of adjourning? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.